This is Money, Motivation, and Mike, and I am your host, Michael Wainwright. In charge of all the controls and the show is Jason Wainwright. And hello to you, world. This is the show that can and will change your life. You can contact us at info@mx3.vip, which I know a whole lot of people are going to be contacting us after today's episodes. You can find all of our content at mx3.vip or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@mx3podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all of our new content, which is put out every Monday morning around 9 o'clock. Okay, Jason, we are trending right along with our YouTube subscribers to reach our goal in 2025 of 250,000 subscribers. And we are approaching 125,000 right now. And remember, going over the 100,000 right there at the end of 2024. Interesting stuff that of the episodes that we've put out this year, and it's just been a couple, 4 or 5. Let's talk Super Bowl 59 is leading the way. And Jerry Jones' episode is coming in second right now with the 2 top views on Money, Motivation, and Mike. So very, very interesting stuff. 45,319 views, Jason, in the last 28 days.
Impressive.
Which is up. We've had 3,509 views in the last 48 hours. Thank you. Continue to blow me away. Very, very good. All right. Now, I know that the recording of this show today is on Valentine's Day.
Yes.
So when our show comes out, it'll be 3 days later on the 17th. So that's okay. Got some goodies here that maybe can help your current situation. It definitely will not hurt. And this particular information that I'm about to come out here with is by Dr. David A. Rogers, PhD. And obviously he's coming to us from the husband, the father, the Christian follower, inspiration of a stronger life, healthier, happier future that all is centered and directed around your family, but most importantly right now, your spouse. And this goes for the men and the women. Remember, PhD, that means he's a doctor of these goodies, Jason. And he and the leaders of a particular subject also have problems too. He says 8 years ago, his house wasn't a home. It was a war zone between he and his wife. They didn't speak for days at a time. Always on eggshells, both directions. And here's the 4 big changes they made to reignite their marriage that you should steal from them right now. Number 1, Valentine's Dayers. Number 1 is mandatory date nights with no children. Have fun together. Men, plan it out for your lady. Staying at home can be notorious. Did you pack lunches? Did you do the laundry? Did you carry out the trash? Did you mow the yard? And you can get into that rut. Every week, they hire sitters and go out for a fun, adult-only date night to connect and grow. Their formula. Every week, date night, no kids. Every quarter, they do a 48-hour getaway with no kids. Every year, they do a 5 to 6 day honeymoon trip with no kids. They love their kids, as we all do, but they have prioritized themselves. Now, Jason, you and I both growing up in broken families, and you think that you live for your kids. And even when I was married to the mother of my children, we thought happiness was around our kids. And growing apart was not anywhere close to our thought process. but that's exactly what happened. Because this first mandatory date night, this number one here, where he's talking no kids, no kids, no kids. We did everything with kids, kids, kids. So just remember that you love your kids, but you need to prioritize each other so you can be a role model for them and watch your marriage come to life and get on fire. Number two, keep in-laws, co-workers, and friends' opinions out of your marriage. Woo! When there's problems on the home front, where's the first place you go? Probably them three groups right there.
Indeed.
There's only two people in your marriage that get a vote, and that's the him and the her. Or excuse me. It may be the him, and the her now, but there's only two people. The two people that are married. Let's put it that way. The two people that are in the relationship, they're the only ones that get a vote. That is it. And you've got to be grateful for the times to seek wisdom and advice from others when you need it, but it's advice. Take it with a grain of salt. You still have the vote. In-laws, co-workers, and friends out of your life. Those things have worked for me. They've also been a detriment. And not only keeping the in-laws, the family in general. The people who are closest to you have the biggest opinions, and they're the ones that sometimes give you the worst advice because they are emotional in their decision and obviously their opinion. Number three, stop watching a show every night in bed, sitting in silence. Been very guilty of this. Watching a show is a crappy excuse not to connect. They canceled all their cable, the Hulus, the cables, the Netflix, HBO, on and on and on. They canceled all that. If they watch something, they learn together with what they watch. I don't know what they can watch since they turned off all of their channels. They are interacting. No TV in the bedroom. Sleep and sex are the only two things that should happen in the bedroom. That's what this doctor right here, this PhD Dr. Rogers, not Mr. Rogers, Dr. Rogers. When you're not doing one of those two things, you should be interacting in other parts of your house with each other. And here's the fourth thing. We thank each other daily. Thank them for working hard, being a good parent, being a good spouse, etc., etc. Show gratitude. Gratitude goes a long ways. Being appreciated. Being appreciated is a love language. And maybe I should have brought up the love, did my research on the love languages today. Because being appreciation, touch, words of affirmation, I think there's 5 of them. There may be more, but I think that's correct. Showing gratitude is where the men should lead and the women should come right in on top. Wake up and give your spouse a kiss every day. Before you work out, before you brush your teeth. You don't care what they smell like because they're your spouse and it does not matter. It sets the tone for your day. Be thankful for such a great husband, wife, father, mother. You're tired last night. The kids were out late. Whatever the case may be, you're picking up the slack today because the other spouse needs the rest. He says, and this is interesting, he had a wise mentor of his, and of course, probably a doctor of some sort, had a wise mentor of his tell him, marriage is like 2 people in rowboats going across the ocean. The waves is the stress of life. They will naturally drift you apart unless you intentionally choose daily to row back towards one another. It was a powerful image to him that he thinks about often. He believes that locked in homes, raising strong, healthy, happy children will do 10,000 more for society than any politician ever could. Your marriage has to be a priority. I'm guilty of not it being a priority. You keep dating, even though you're married, dating your spouse, not other people. Keep dating, growing together, laughing together, connecting physically often together. Send your spouse a gratitude text right now. Taking action, Jason. Taking action. Okay. Mandatory date nights with no kids, stressing no kids. Keep in-laws, co-workers, family, friends out of your opinions. Stop watching a show every night in bed, sitting in silence, and thank each other on a daily basis. These love and affection comments and thoughts coming from Dr. David Rogers here on the we'll call it Valentine's Day weekend. Since it'll be coming to you on Monday, obviously, people in July are going to enjoy these pointers. Doesn't have to be, but Valentine's seems to be it's the heart. We have a holiday based around a heart. So there we go. Take it for what it's worth, and hopefully it works out for you. Jason, now I'm going to get on a soapbox.
Oh boy.
And we have done a couple episodes over the last couple of years on the biggest Sunday of the day outside of Easter and when Christmas falls on Sunday, and that is Super Bowl Sunday. And more importantly, we've done it, I know we did last year because we talked about the different acts throughout the years, going all the way back to the NFL AFL Championship in 1966, and that's the halftime show. Now, are you familiar, Jason, that Kendrick Lamar did the halftime show this year?
I was aware.
Is that because you watched the game?
I did.
All right. If you didn't watch the game, you had to run down to the store at halftime, and you came back and you asked about halftime, and they said, well, Kendrick Lamar did halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Would you know who Kendrick Lamar is?
Well, I had this conversation before this because I did not know who Kendrick Lamar was.
I'd never heard of his name.
Yeah.
Until they introduced him.
I had only seen his name in the title of a song, but never his song only. He's always singing with somebody else. In this case, it was Taylor Swift, Bad Blood, that he sings with her.
Okay.
And I knew that because my daughter told me that he played with her.
Okay. So there you go. If he's been involved with Taylor Swift,
yeah,
the most popular entertainer in the world right now,
yeah,
you should know Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
I don't know Kendrick Lamar.
She's 16 and didn't know what his music was. She just knew he sang with Taylor Swift.
Well, I watched this game with 3 adults and 3 children. Now, when I say children, 15-year-old females. They did not know any of Kendrick. They knew him.
Yeah.
They did not know his music. Of the 4 of us adults in the room, 1 knew his music, 1 had heard of him. The other 2 of us had never heard the name.
Yeah.
All right. I'm saying all this, Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, who obviously it goes across his desk, and I'm sure there is a halftime committee. How in the world does Roger Goodell put his stamp of approval on this show? And we're going to get into some of these things, but you now know where I am headed with this particular part of our show today. Now, I am a 56-year-old white male. Now, let's go over this before we get into Mr. Lamar. Age brackets, Jason. Here's what we got. 18 to 29, 30 to 44, 45 to 64, and 65 and older. Which age bracket do you think watches the Super Bowl?
The older ones.
That is correct.
I'd say prime target is 30 years up.
45 years up.
45.
From 18 to 44 years, with a big stress of it on 30 to 44, 36%. The other 64% are 45 years and older. That's who definitely watches the game. They have the categories here of definitely, probably not, definitely not sure. And I'm focusing on the two biggest ones that I'm also going to mention the definitely nots too, but the ones that are definitely and probably. The definitely 45 and older, 64%. 45 to 64, 34%. 65 and older, 34%. 60, I said 64, 68%. So that's the audience. I would love to poll those people and ask two questions. Have you ever heard of Kendrick Lamar?
Yeah.
And tell me about Kendrick Lamar. I'm going to say the percentages of who watch the show will be much greater on those two questions than the people who don't know about him. Nevertheless, the people who probably watched the Super Bowl, guess who has the highest probablys? 65, 45 to 64, and 65 and older. Now, in this particular, probably the 18 to 29s was the highest at 30%. The 45 and older probablys was 42%. Now, going back over here, of all of the adults definitely watching the game, 33%. Of all the adults probably watching the game, 25%. Of all of the adults definitely not watching the game, 20%. Okay? Definitely not watching the game. 45 to 64 and 65 and older is a big whopping 20%. 18 to 29 and 30 to 44 is 28%. Definitely not watching the game. Now, I said all that to say this. This halftime show does not attract the watching audience of the National Football League Super Bowl.
And to clarify, the stats you're talking about.
Yep.
Those that are probably not watching. This is speaking of they're watching the halftime show, but not the game. Or just not, period.
Tuned in to Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the halftime show.
Okay.
The game in itself.
Gotcha.
Whether they tune in at 3 or the kickoff or the first quarter or whatever. Okay. Now you said probably not. I did definitely, probably, and definitely not. There is a probably not in here too.
Yeah.
And just so you know, and the reason I didn't touch on is because from 18 to 44, it's 26% probably not. And from 45 on, it's 27% probably not. It's the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who probably, they probably don't know that it's probably not. So, nevertheless, there is one other category before I get into Kendrick Lamar. Not sure if I'm going to watch the game. 45 and older, not sure, 13%. 44 and younger, not sure, 24%. Because we've gotten into select sports. My son, major fanatic sports fan. Mm-hmm. not that real interested in football. One of the reasons is because the team that we have supported, that he has had entrenched in his brain, doesn't win. The Dallas Cowboys.
In his lifetime.
In his lifetime. Yeah. Or his sister's lifetime, who is older than him.
Yeah.
My daughter was born 6 weeks after the last Super Bowl victory.
Yeah. And even I was young for the 90s Cowboys.
There you go. Well, you said you first.
But I do remember it, and I did watch it.
And you said well, absolutely, because I was in my early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 10 years away from Social Security. They hadn't won a dadgum thing. 9 years away.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be there in 9 years. We've done episodes on that as well. My point, once again, bringing this information is whoever, and I'm sure it's more than one person. I'm sure the NFL's got several Super Bowl committees. Put this show together. And this is what we got. This is, they freaked out 10 years ago when Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson, and he purposely or accidentally, whatever, pulls part of her top off and her boob flops out to the world.
Yes.
They freaked out over that.
Yes.
But this right here is no big deal. No big deal. Richard Robinson, he's staff writer. He's a highly part of this article that I'm fixing to talk about here. Okay. And there's several things. His topic, the header on this particular show, this particular article, was the Super Bowl 2025 halftime show amazing or awful? Now, that is how much indifference and divided this Super Bowl show was. Kendrick Lamar performed the 2025 Super Bowl show with mixed reviews and reactions. Here's your questions. Was it a cultural movement? The most impactful halftime show of all time? And then they follow that with, was it trash? Are parents correct in saying it was boring? By the way, that's the 45 and up group. Are Kendrick Lamar fans correct in praising its impressive symbolism? You are hard-pressed to find a more divided halftime show between politics, super fans, older generations, and symbolism. Was this halftime show the greatest ever, or was it a bust? That's how much difference the spread is between the left and the right on what actually went here. Kendrick Lamar. And I'm going to start right here. And I have stressed on this show many times. I grew up in an athletic department. I love black people. I have a lot of black friends. I socialize with those folks, which we call it our folks. Most people, especially the blacks, my people. Like we've talked about before, we just can't all be Americans. So I'm stressing once again about my black African-American connections. How many people you think was on that football field, Jason, at that halftime show?
Oh, it was at least 100 plus, maybe 200 plus.
I'm going to say it's probably 250 plus. There was a lot of dancers out there.
Yeah.
What percentage of those do you think was black?
It was 100%.
It was 100%.
Yeah.
Whether it was 100 dancers, 250 dancers, 1,000 dancers, it was 100%. Not one Hispanic, Japanese, Chinese, white was good enough to be on that field. Or were they good enough?
Just didn't fit the message.
And overlooked.
I think they just didn't fit the message.
All right. If this had been a show, and we'll go of a country western singer, and that country western singer, male, female, whomever, had 250 all white performers out there on the stage, they would have been rioting at the Super Bowl before the game ended if the show had been 250 Hispanics. There would have been a riot before the show, the Super Bowl, ended. I'm not afraid to come on here and talk about these things because, like I say, I've never been accused of being a racist. I know I'm not a racist, and my love for you has nothing to do with the color of your skin. When you watch a halftime show that features a couple of hundred singers, a singer and dancers, and none of those people are of any other color than the singer, is it racist? That's for our viewing and listening audience to decide. Okay? Now, within this show, now, apparently, Kendrick Lamar and Drake. See, I know who Drake is. I know Drake music. There's some Drake music I like. I used to listen to Flavor Flav. I love his clocks. Drake.
DMX, Ja Rule.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Any of the above.
Okay, so apparently Drake and Kendrick Lamar had a beef. And this article reads, while the Drake beef resulted in some legendary tracks, Lamar has better and more iconic songs. Many fans consider GNX to be Lamar's worst album. But he played that apparently because he was directing it at Drake. When you're supposed to be performing, Jason, to the entire civilized world, you have military sitting on ships 100 miles away from enemy lines who stopped to watch this game. And this is what the National Football League gave them. Nobody looks at it like that. Okay, part of this performance had Uncle Sam. Do you remember the Uncle Sam character?
Oh, Samuel L. Jackson?
Love Samuel L. Jackson. Great actor. Would go home tonight and watch 5 of his movies if I could stay awake.
Shaft?
Any of them. You know, he's in
Pulp Fiction.
He's in several of Quentin Tarantino's movies.
Yes.
And they get out there and cross the line. Samuel L. Jackson is a big part of that, crossing that line. A lot of the things that Samuel L. Jackson does in those Quentin Tarantino movies is off the cuff. It's not written into the script. And you can go back and you can watch Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
That's a prime example. And you can see how he goes into just his mode. And he's also on record in saying that what you see on tape and TV is who he is. That's not a fraud. That's not an acting job. That's who he is.
Well, I think anybody who's seen him I shouldn't say off screen, but not in character, I mean, that they are one.
I'd love to go out tonight with Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
In your hundreds of years of U.S. history, have you ever seen everybody's favorite uncle, Uncle Sam, portrayed as black? Now you have. Somehow, Uncle Sam wants you. You've seen that poster a million times. Mm-hmm. Uncle Sam wants you to join the armed forces. Uncle Sam needs your money in Washington, D.C. Uncle Sam wants you to vote. I've never seen a black Uncle Sam. But in the National Football League halftime show, Uncle Sam is black. Now, I would think to this point, if Uncle Sam in 1776 was black, we would have seen that by now. It's not that he can't be black. It's the fact is he's not. But we got to go change it. It's like putting rabbit ears on Mickey Mouse. He has mouse ears, not rabbit ears. What's the difference? Somehow, they give the floor to Kendrick Lamar. I wonder, I know this is a sarcastic remark. I wonder now, does anybody even look this stuff over before they go on stage? It's incredible. And he's going into a lot of things. Oh, by the way, Jason, when he's talking about the Drake deal, and then he goes into some other music, and he says, and this article says, as the last middle finger to the American game, talking about the Super Bowl, Lamar plays Not Like Us. What does that mean? Not like us. What does that song even have to do with anything? Now, once again, how do you go out and shoot the finger at one of your, obviously, rivals, enemies, whatever, Drake, when it's not about you? It's definitely not about Drake. If Lamar headlining the halftime show wasn't already enough salt in Drake's wound after the two's beef, Lamar even brought out tennis star Serena Williams, who Drake used to date, and the crowd wasn't shy about singing along in the lyrics that portray the Canadian rapper in a not-so-great light. Why would you bring Serena Williams out, Jason, for a concert-style environment? I don't know of any other reason other than, how do you like me now, Toby Keith? The whole deal, to me, was an embarrassment to the National Football League. I did not get anything out of that halftime show.
No.
And since I am on this halftime show and talking about the black performers on the stage, I'm going to go back to Super Bowl 27. Do you remember who the halftime show was in Super Bowl 27?
No idea.
Okay. If you remember, in those four or five Super Bowls, the bands, the Gramblings, Grambling State. I don't know if you've ever seen Grambling University band. It's incredible. All black. There might be a couple of white folk in there now. Incredible band. But for the most part, I could not tell you. I know the people who have done acts along the years, but I couldn't tell you what Super Bowl Aerosmith was the halftime show. I couldn't tell you the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson Super Bowl.
Right.
I know, I watched the show. I know what it was, but I don't remember what Super Bowl it was. Super Bowl 27 was Michael Jackson. Hey, he's black. Great show. Considered, if not the greatest halftime show ever, the greatest halftime show ever.
Yeah, I've actually seen that one.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, you were 11, 12 years old.
And still remember it.
I remember that halftime show. He was black. So let's get the black thing out of the way as to whether or not Money, Motivation, and Mike is directing this towards black people. That I don't like black people. Love black people. I don't like what I saw by the National Football League last Sunday evening. And frankly, I don't blame Kendrick Lamar one bit. Whoever choreographed this, whoever put the show together, whoever made the line of what we were going to do, those gazillionaires in the National Football League signed off on it. So if you could go out there and do a show and run around naked because you think that's for a great cause and the NFL signs off on it, can't blame you. I guess I'm disgusted with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm disgusted with the National Football League. I've never really thought Roger Goodell was a good leader. And I think even less today. I look forward to getting your emails and compliments. We may have people out in front picketing the studio come Monday afternoon, Jason. I'll be glad to go out there. You be ready. You be on call.
Okay.
Because we're going to take our microphones out there and talk to them.
Absolutely.
Yes. And maybe you can put some of the pictures of this halftime show up on our YouTube channel when you put this up. And if I'm wrong and you can find a white person out there, I'd love to know about it. But if there wasn't enough to even make an appearance, because I didn't see any. And I don't know how. With 85% of your population being white, you couldn't find a way to put one out there. Is it because you didn't want to? Is it because you were serving a purpose? You were sending a message? Obviously, this was politically driven. I'm trying to go off the air here on our show, but it keeps coming up to me. How, Jason, do you approve Kendrick Lamar to attack Drake in the show? How do you do that? I mean, that's like putting Robert De Niro in charge of the show and letting him go on and attack Donald Trump. That's like putting Donald Trump in charge of the show and letting him go off and attack John McCain because he got captured in war. Why would you do that? If you're going to do this? It once again, Drake ought to be mad. Drake ought to go after the NFL. I'll help him. Bunch of crap's what it is. Money, motivation, and Mike continue to bring you interesting topic. How do you go, Jason, from loving Valentine's Day to the halftime show of the 2025 National Football League Super Bowl?
It's quite the spectrum.
Hey, it's because we are broad-based here, baby. We cover all topics. Oh, my goodness. Controversy, non-controversy. We need to take our show to the next level and have Howard Stern right here sitting in this chair between you and me.
Oh, man.
We will have to do it. We'd have to have an episode every day. You wouldn't have to talk. You just got to get him going. And then sit back and enjoy. You talk about entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
Free, cheap. Contact us, info@mx3.vip. Find all of our content at mx3.vip, including this wonderful episode that Jason will have out Monday morning, and also on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@mx3podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all of our new content, which comes out every Monday morning around 9 o'clock. So, once again, for Money, Motivation, and Mike, and everyone who has been a part of this show, starting with Drake, continue to live your life the right way.